Okay. So today we're going to be talking to some pretty interesting individuals, and I don't know if I told you guys this, but I don't watch The Bachelor or The Bachelor in Paradise or anything very much. I think I like maybe watched it once or twice when I was like growing up, just if you're curious. But when we had our daughter, my wife and I, we put her down, which is like really important. You get like that time together, and we just happened to watch The Bachelor in Paradise, and it happened to be you guys' seasons.
Aw,
And
thank you.
what what's really interesting is we both watched the whole saga, that whole season. I think that's like to this day the only like full season we've ever watched of The Bachelor in Paradise. And we remember definitely you, Ashley. The way they edited you was I remember thinking this can't be real because you like the first thing they showed was you like getting super emotional, and I always thought there's no way that can be real. And then I remember you guys meeting, and then I remember like you were kind of hesitant to take the date or something, Jared. I don't remember who had the date card or whatever, but I remember you guys, for whatever reason, just didn't work out. And then I remember thinking, I told my wife, I said, there's no way she'll ever get him. Flash forward to like a couple of years ago or whenever you guys got together, and like I'm scrolling the Yahoo homepage and I just see like your wedding photos, and I'm like, what like how? And so I guess that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. Like, how did that come about? Because we're really focused on trying to understand like what makes human beings sort of like that don't want you all of a sudden want you again. So do you guys maybe just could we peel back some layers and try to understand like what was it that you were thinking, Jared, as she's trying to get you and you're just like no, like so what made that like 360 turn for you?
Okay. Well, if you want the most like articulate explanation of it, we have this video on YouTube. It's called The Story of Us, and it's 45 minutes, and it kind of like goes through each year.
So
um,
how long is this like saga? Is it like 3 or 4 years that it takes to basically get
Yeah.
him?
Well, no, it's
no,
not about getting me. I don't know if that's the right phrasing. I don't know if I'm the prize in this one, as Ashley can attest to being my wife now. I think we met in 2015, and then we got together in
early
early,
2018.
yeah, March of 2018. I think we
Yeah.
started dating.
Okay, so you start dating. Well, what year was that Bachelor in Paradise season that I'm thinking of?
2015.
15. Okay.
We were on Bachelor in Paradise twice. We were on Bachelor in Paradise in 2015, and then we actually went back in 2016. Uh,
Okay.
and then we started dating off camera in early 2018. So it almost took about 3 years to start dating after the show.
But
So about 3 years of friendship.
sure, like what they show on the show isn't always like, I mean, it's part of the story. It's just not the entire story. You don't get
Totally.
every detail.
So what happened in that time? Because I remember the way. So that's what I don't know. I was just like a normal viewer. You don't see what's going on behind the scenes. I'm sure there's like 90% of what happens is behind the scenes. They're just like editing it in a way to make it as drama filled as possible, right?
Oh, well. Oh, was that me?
Yeah, that was you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I mean, listen, they're a television show, of course, so they're going to try to make the best TV show, and the way to do that is to create as much drama as possible. But everything that happens within the show is real. It's your emotions, it's your reaction to things. And so I think the thing about The Bachelor is that it's very condensed. It's a very shortened period of time where everything happens on speed dial. And I don't really know if that's conducive, at least for myself, and I could probably speak on Ashley as well.
Mhm.
I think because we both are in our own heads a lot, specifically me, it takes a longer amount of time for me to really be okay to pursue things. And so I think what happened was it was just it's very convoluted and complicated, but I think when I first met Ashley, I just wasn't really in the best spot to date someone else, especially someone like Ashley, who's the complete opposite of somebody I've ever dated in the past. Somebody who's, like you said, very emotional, very honest, very transparent, very persistent, all wonderful qualities. But I don't think at that time I was ready. And then I think we started, I started developing feelings a few months after the show when we started hanging out. I got to see her in her element on the East Coast. We were hanging out, watching football games because we had a charity event together. And and seeing her dynamic with her family, and it just made me more and more attracted to Ashley. And then I think, it's hard to put myself back into the place of why we didn't start dating back then, but I think it just got to a point where it became so confusing and complicated that it was almost it was so complicated it was difficult to start dating. And then I think we got in this lull of like a year and a half of true just only friendship, and she wasn't dating anybody and I wasn't dating anybody. And so I think, at least from my end, it just became like this comfort thing where it was like, well, things are really good right now. We talk almost every day, we hang out all the time, so it's like, it's kind of like we're dating, but we're not dating because we're not boyfriend and girlfriend, and we go on dates with other people, and we're not romantic with each other. And then of course she started dating someone else, and then I had to kind of look in the mirror and reevaluate my values and what I was doing with my life and what I wanted to go for, and that's what I did. And luckily she still had feelings for me too.
I used to tell people that he was my boyfriend who didn't touch me. People say, like, how long were you together before you got married? And the answer is technically a year and a half, but like we pretty much say we were together for 4 years.
Well,
like kind of, we don't really say that, but it's like,
because it wouldn't be true.
No, but like we knew each other the way a couple would know each other.
Yeah, we were best friends.
Yeah.
So you attribute the sort of feelings to getting crop backed up based on you getting off the show and just being together for a long time and just opening up and talking about things that normal best friends wouldn't, or normal friends wouldn't talk about. So there was like an extra layer to your relationship.
Well, I think with Jared, a lot of his confusion and stuff was that he didn't want to like look on TV like he was confused. So he acted as if he was sure he didn't want me because he honestly thought that would probably look better on TV.
Well, also, I mean, it seems like they really try to push you fast to make a decision on the person, right? That show in particular.
Well, of course, because you only have, Bachelor in Paradise films for like 25 days. So, it's like you got to make it fast in that environment. And so it wasn't even so much a TV aspect for me. I've realized that I just do that in everyday life, where I try to put this persona on of me.
Knowing what he's doing with everything.
Yeah, putting out this image in the world that I have. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I know what I'm going for, and I have things together, which is the complete opposite of what is actually going on. But luckily, especially after being with Ashley, I've kind of started, tearing away at that facade and being more honest with people and vulnerable and telling people, listen, don't listen to me. We're all just learning every day.
So Ashley, I mean, I remember you just being like obsessed with him from moment one. Did that go away at all for you, especially when things didn't work out on the show? Or were there always like underlying feelings there as your friendship was sort of like going on?
For the most part, the feelings were always there. There was like times where it would be lessened, but that was honestly usually because of times where he would be acting or he'd be pushing me away, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, fine, I'm done with this.
So you basically do like I don't care anymore, and then just like come back to it later when you catch the feelings again.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So like in preparation for the interview, because I like only knew what I knew based on that sort of season I had watched, I was watching some YouTube videos, and you guys have like a real interesting proposal story, but it's also kind of awkward in a weird way because it looks like one of your exes was like there to watch this proposal.
Yeah.
So do you ever like, was that like ever in like a weird vibe to have with a proposal? Because it seems to me like no one knew what was going on except maybe Jared, and then they like push you over, then that the host is like, hey, let's come watch. Is that ever kind of like a weird feeling? Do you like ever look back on that? Because I also saw you have like some really amazing like wedding videos, and really you have like a really amazing wedding just to begin with, but like do you feel like that was kind of a weird situation to be put in?
Well, the televised aspect of our engagement was definitely flawed.
Well, it was just, yeah, I mean, so I was talking to producers about possibly going down and proposing to Ashley. And I never even thought that they
I
would try
did.
to make it awkward, just because, you know, it's a proposal. They're not going to really do anything with it to ruin the moment. But then, of course, the night before, so we fly down there, and I have, you know, this planned thing, and then I was talking to the producer beforehand, and I said, listen, if her ex is still down there, because you don't truly know if somebody's still down there or not while they're filming. They don't tell you. And I was like, listen, if he's just down there, please just, you know, have him go into an interview or have him go on a date with someone. Just, you know, make sure he's just not there so it's not awkward at all. And they couldn't promise me that, but they said it wasn't going to be awkward. Like, listen, you're going to go, you're going to see Harrison. He's going to introduce you in front of the group. We promised that his name is Kevin, that he was going to be in the back of the crowd, and then you guys would go off and do your own thing, and that would be it, and it wouldn't be awkward at all. And so I said, okay, that's fine. You know, I mean, well I didn't say it was
he
fine,
did not
but
say that was fine.
but I mean, you know, it was either do that or don't, you know, just cancel the proposal. So it was like, okay, well, shit.
Yeah, you're kind of like, you have to go forward with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was 12 hours away.
I obviously didn't know I was gonna get proposed to. I had an inkling it was a chance, but I knew that even being down in Paradise, that they would like add that annoyance to the storyline, because they'd be like, "Oh no, we can't have like a pure storyline just celebrating Ashley and Jared at this moment." So I was a little concerned, and I actually can't believe that Jared was so naive to the fact that they would do something like that.
Well, he's in love. He wants to marry you.
Yeah, and the reason too. So one of my buddies, his name is Tanner. Him and Jade got engaged on Bachelor in Paradise our first season, and then they had a televised wedding. And Tanner was telling me a story about how
he didn't want her ex.
He didn't want her ex there, the former Bachelor. Obviously, it's very different now. We're all friends, but at the time, there's still like that awkwardness, and they were like, "Well, listen, he's coming. He's going to be there." And so, and then they promised him it wouldn't be awkward, and it wasn't awkward at all. So I was like, all right, that'll probably, like, it'll probably be the same thing with me. But then, of course, lo and behold, we're watching the engagement back, and Harrison invites everybody, including her ex-boyfriend, to come watch the freaking engagement. I was like, come on, guys.
In real life, it wasn't as awkward.
It
wasn't
as it's like
awkward.
Looks on TV.
Yeah, but then like they absolutely played with it.
But honestly, it's fine. You know, it was still a memorable moment. It sucks because I would change some things, of course, because I wouldn't want to do it in front of anybody. But you know, I'm certainly over that, and we had such a spectacular and incredible wedding that it was honestly the best day of my life.
Yeah, I don't think about like the proposal the way that it was on TV anymore. No. I think we did for a while, but now like the only time that I'll think about the annoyance around it is when somebody brings it up like that.
Oh, okay. I'll stay away from it. What I'm actually curious about, so you guys start dating. At what point did you realize like you knew you wanted to marry her, Jared?
I mean, we both, like I said, we were best friends for 3.5 years.
We kind of went from like not dating to being married.
Well, because we knew that once we started, because we knew each other so well, and there was a little bit of a romantic background with us, and honestly, it is true that because we were best friends, we knew each other so well that the only missing part of our relationship was the romantic part. And so once we started dating for like a month, 2 months, and it was so easy, you know, the romance felt so right. It was like, okay, this is obvious. Like, they always tell you, you know, marry your best friend. And then here she is right now. And so, you know, I knew very early on, and I think Ashley did too, that we weren't dating just to like date and have fun. We were going to date and figure out if this was a lifelong partnership.
So what was it about Ashley that, like, I'm sure you've had friends that were girls before, but Ashley just seemed to stand out from the rest? I mean, you've mentioned she's like your best friend. So what was it about her that sort of like got you to open up?
I think Ashley pushes me to be a better person. She pushes me to open up. Because I do have a lot of friends that are girls, but not romantically, obviously. Just friendship. Ashley was, the thing is, you know, my friends that are girls are also not interested in me romantically, you know? So like, with Ashley and I, there was a mutual wants for romance there. But Ashley just pushes me to be a better person. She knows how to handle me better than anybody in this world. And
Oh, thanks, Brad.
so those are some factors.
What about you, Ashley? What was it about Jared? Because it seemed like there was instant attraction from the moment you saw him, and it doesn't seem like it ever went away.
I don't know. It was like really love at first sight. It was like weird because it was like even before Jared spoke. So that's just like an indescribable. I can't even put to words what that phenomenon is. But with Jared, I just have always like admired his passion and like the way that he gets so excited about certain things. And I had never seen that in a guy before, and a guy that I was attracted to. And there's just like some sort of understanding that we have between the two of us that it's kind of like how this is weird to describe, but it's kind of like my sister, where like I don't really have to explain how I feel about something. He just kind of gets it.
So it just seemed like
So
you guys were always on the same wavelength from the
yes.
get-go.
Yes.
No, what's interesting though is during the Bachelor in Paradise, he seems to be kind of like not, he's like unsure if he wants to like be with you or not. And I remember there's like some guy who came up to you and was like, he's not going to be with you, but you were just like, no, you just didn't want to hear it. What was it about you that like kept fighting?
That was our best friend Nick who told us that, and
Oh,
somebody
okay.
who cried while giving a speech at our wedding.
Okay, so you were right and he was wrong.
Yes.
So what was it that like kept the faith going, so to speak?
Honestly, Jared's behavior toward me.
So it was sort of like he'd give you signs that he was interested, but he wasn't like all in just yet. Because it seems to me you may be a victim of the speed at which that show goes. Like if you're only filming for 25 days, it's hard to make like a life. They almost seem like they want you to get engaged by the end of the show, and 25 days
Yeah.
sometimes isn't enough.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, you can leave as friends or you can even leave as boyfriend and girlfriend. Like you're pretty much expected to either like make a lifelong commitment or to leave single. But
And
with Jared, like I could just tell like right after that moment with Nick, we had a 2-hour conversation, Jared and I, on a bed on the beach, and like he couldn't get up from the conversation. So it was like he obviously cares about me enough that he doesn't even want to leave my side right now.
And what was it like for you, Jared? Because it seems to me like maybe the circumstances just made it difficult for you to like commit that fast. You just need more time. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. I think it was a combination of circumstances and my own, overcoming my own demons, so to speak. Not to cause sympathy for myself because not what I'm trying to do. But like, I think for me in just dating in everyday life, I have difficulty for a lot of reasons, and I think the problems I have in dating were just magnified within the Bachelor franchise because of the time frame.
And also, like, we like to say that just because I was right and Jared did come around after some mixed signals, I am the exception to the rule when it comes to he's just not that into you. I am the Jennifer Goodwin character in the movie.
Well, I still think there's something you can learn from your approach potentially. Do you feel like you did something different than the average girl who's in your circumstance? There's some guy, he's giving her those mixed signals, but he's not like super into her. Do you feel like there's anything special you did to kind of like catch his interest?
No, I got a
No?
boyfriend. I tell all girls who are getting mixed signals and or are confused about a guy's behavior and whether or not they have a future together to just start dating someone else, because if he doesn't come around when you're dating someone else, he's never going to come around.
So I don't know if you know this about me, but we have quite a bit of people going through breakups that come through our website. And so what we have is a ton of data. And what you said is something that we've learned. So after dealing with literally thousands of breakups and seeing what works to reattract an ex or even get over an ex, a huge factor is moving on to someone new or emulating moving on. So believe it or not, you maybe just like stumbled into the key, but I'm actually kind of curious to hear Jared's perspective. When she started dating someone new, did that bother you on any level?
Yeah, that's what made him admit his feelings.
Yeah, of course it really bothered me. And so I got,
He had
yeah,
this whole like something with his mom during Christmas
it
break.
wasn't something with my mom. I just talked to my mom.
No, he just like revealed his feelings very dramatically, like in a movie.
In a movie.
And yeah, no, I mean, it was, because here's the thing, it's just it's an ultimatum, you know, because now you're really losing the person you want to be with, so you either have to fight for what you want or continue going down the path you're going down, which is comfortability and not speaking up.
So ultimately, you guys get together. You have this really amazing storybook wedding. I mean, like truly storybook. Was
Truly.
there? Well, how have things been going now that you guys are married? Because I noticed when I got married, actually things got a lot better. It just felt deeper. I'm wondering if you guys experienced something similar.
See, we think it feels like the same.
The same.
Yeah.
What about you, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we lived together for over a year before we got
Did
married.
you guys live together for before?
We lived together for about 6 months, but our story is a little bit pretty complicated too, because we were long distance for like, it was very similar to yours where we talked for like months and months and we felt like we knew each other. And then she lived in Pennsylvania, I lived in Texas, and I just decided to move to take a chance. And we lived together for like 6 or 7 months and I just knew. So it was kind of similar, but it was, for me, it was a real big shell shock because I've never, like, I moved where I knew everyone, my family was, to just this like nowhere. You know, I didn't know anyone. So it was like a lot of dealing with that. So when I had married her, I felt like, okay, now I can relax because I don't have to worry about like her meeting some new guy and leaving, you know, and I'm like up here alone. So maybe that's sort of what came into it, but I'm always kind of curious to talk to people like you.
Oh, I can see how you'd be more comfortable and secure with that. I don't know. When we moved into together, it didn't feel like any sort of transition, which is really weird. I
That
imagine like moving in together would drive me nuts because I've always liked my own space and like the way it needs to be just so. But for some reason, I just didn't feel bothered by living together with somebody after so many years of living alone.
Hmm.
What about you? Because I noticed when I moved in with my wife, you know, there's really not much that like bugged me about her, except the fact that sometimes she would like eat these pretzels and leave them on the ground and forget to clean them up, and I'd have to clean them up. Was there any like moving in, you noticed like these weird habits that kind of irked you?
There was like just honestly the stupidest things. Like I
Yeah,
like
it's like the pretzel thing, right?
yeah, it's exactly like that. Like he would leave like his wallet and like some change and like I don't know his headphones and stuff like on the dresser, on the bedroom dresser, and I'm like, wow, that's supposed to look all pretty and put together. Like that's not a place to put that in a drawer.
See, I'm with Jared. I just put it there.
Well, it's not. I don't put it. Literally, it's just like my wallet, my keys, and like AirPods.
Yeah, but
She's
it's
making
just
it
like,
sound like I'm throwing papers on this
but that's
thing.
a place for decor.
Um, no, I mean, you know, I think, not to toot my own horn, but I find myself very easy to live with. Because I just kind of like clean up after myself, and I don't really like to make my presence known. um, so it was very easy. It was very easy for me.
So I want to give you guys, and I'll let you guys talk as much as you want, but we were talking before we actually started recording about you guys have a couple of podcasts. It looks like Ashley has a podcast or a couple of podcasts, and you, Jared, maybe have a podcast as well. So could you tell me about them and like why should people listen to them?
Well, for all the Bachelor fans out there, I have the Almost Famous podcast with Ben Higgins, and we recap whatever the episode is that aired that week, and we just talk about all the latest Bachelor Nation drama, and we have a lot of guests that come on and do in-depth interviews with us. And then I have the I Don't Get It podcast, which is basically about millennial girl lifestyle. We like to think it's kind of like a conversation that you'd find on Sex in the City, but on a podcast. And
Okay.
that, and then Jared has ironically a podcast called Help I Suck at Dating.
That's right. It's called Help I Suck at
So
Dating.
it's probably similar to yours, kind of, where it's all about relationships.
Yeah, so I hosted with another Bachelor alum. His name is Dean Unglert. It's an iHeartRadio podcast, but you can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And why should people listen to it? I don't know. I mean, it's just two guys giving their opinion on dating. So that's really it. No, and then we talk about we have a lot of dating experts that come in, dating coaches. We have celebrity couples come in. We have a lot of really cool guests to come on and just give their perspective on dating a relationship and try to advise us and help us get better at dating, whether you're single, married, in a relationship, doesn't matter. We all have things within the dating world that we can get a lot better at.
True. Very true. Where can we find these podcasts? So Jared mentioned iHeartRadio or wherever. What about you, Ashley?
Wherever podcasts live.
Wherever podcasts live.
Apple Podcast app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the good stuff.
Well, thank you guys for coming on so much, especially with everything going on in the world.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for having us. This is fun.
Yeah.